Manx Radio Podcasts, powered by Shaw.
Hello and welcome to this week's Countryside Podcast. And Kiri, we've got a varied selection again from the farmers market that I visited, from railways as well, and also Crufts dogs, which we'll turn to very shortly as well. But the Mike Fairbairn I spoke to from the Manx Rail Project about what their role is around the various railway items that are on the Isle of Man. Of course, the steam railway, the electric railway, and all need to be maintained, and got a good feeling of the interest and the work that was involved, particularly on the top of Snape Fell, which was quite a logistical challenge, I must say.
Goodness me, there's a lot of work goes into keeping them rails good, but it's a lovely spectacle through the Manx countryside, especially down with us there. You see the big red shiny train coming through. It is lovely to see, and it's always busy, full of families. Yeah,
and does it go through your land?
It goes through our farm, just along the bottom and into Ballasella, but it's lovely to see. They used to have men on the gates, but now it's all automated barriers, so it doesn't slow down as much as it used to, and you see it getting going again, but it's lovely to see.
If you stuck your hand out, would it stop at...
Once it would have done, but not now. It goes far too fast.
All right. Does it? Steams along.
It really does. Since they've done the new track down by the south the district, it's a lot faster than it ever was, and it doesn't take much time coming from Port Erin to Douglas now.
No, and you spoke also to some of the people who have had great success from our little island at the biggest dog show in the world, probably, Crufts.
It really was the biggest dog show, and they've come from all around the world to compete at it. But to have 6 out of 7 in the regional Northern Irish team to compete, it was fantastic. The ladies have come through qualifiers and selection process, and they've done a really great job. And even one of them was competing in the World Cup team of 4 with her 2 border collies. Fantastic achievement.
And it's a great thing as well that the people are realising in this day and age that maybe they don't need to join gyms and things, but that they're getting exercise, plenty of exercise, especially on the dog agility things and all, and walking their dogs through combining it with having a wonderful pet.
Well, this is it. They're enjoying time out in the countryside and with their companion, and it's great to see. And they spend a lot of time in the halls with the dogs, but the dogs are getting exercise. They're content. They're peaceful, and there's different breeds. The hounds that were competing in the individual class with Laura Merriweather, those dogs needed a lot of exercise, and her husband will take them up the Slough and through the mountains and down on the South Brule there. A lot of exercise goes into it, but he uses it to train for the parish walk. So it works hand in hand.
Helps everybody. And also the farmers' markets, we've been to them as well around various parts of the Isle of Man, and still as popular as ever, aren't they?
They really are. It's a great place to buy local produce, and there's so much variety now to choose from. Jams, carrots, meat. It's a fantastic place.
And they're all striving for different things as well. There's chutneys, lemon curds,
goodness,
and all sorts of things, and homemade breads and things that people are catering for, because I've obviously visited on this week's programme the Northern Farmers Market, and there's a lady and her husband wasn't there, but they bake their own bread and everything like that as well, particularly aimed at people with allergies, because there seems to be more and more of that in this day and age, isn't there?
Well, that's right, and if they can buy local, they will, I think, a lot of people, and the allergies is a big problem, and if they can supply what these people want, it's fantastic, especially for local producers as well.
It is. So here's this week's Countryside.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
The railways around the Isle of Man are steeped with history and big tourist attractions as well. They take a lot of maintaining though, and there's been some problems this year with obviously the rain and landslides that have happened around the tracks. To find out how all of this gets repaired, I spoke to Mike Fairbairn from the Manx Rail Project, and first he told me a little bit about the Manx Rail Project.
We're a company that has a contract with the Department of Infrastructure Railways for maintenance work on the Snaefell Railway, the Manx Electric Railway and the Steam Railway, and it's called a framework contract because it provides for heavy maintenance and renewal work of the tracks and drainage and other infrastructure items, and we now enter the 3rd year of a 3-year contract.
From, of course, Ramsey, the MER goes to there, and then from Laxey to Snaefell, then the steam railway to Port Erin. Is it all part of the remit?
It is, yes, and we've done some work on each of the railways during this past winter. We're just closing out a section about 2 miles out of Douglas on the steam railway, where we've renewed about 500 metres of track. We've worked on a couple of sections on the electric railway, and the one that we're currently closing out is just south of Laxey. And typically we've done a job on the summit of Snaefell, which is extremely unusual, where we've replaced both the track and provided new pole foundations in conjunction with island aggregates.
Looking, firstly, we'll come back to the Snaefell one, but the weather has been particularly bad. We've at Laxey there, the bridge washed out with the floods and how has that affected the rail tracks on the island?
The railways, particularly on Snaefell, have been very badly affected. We've also had to deal with flooding on other work sites. Before Christmas we were working south of Douglas, and there was torrential rain during December, which made life extremely difficult when we were digging and putting drainage in on that section of track. So extremely challenging, and using pumps to take water out of excavation was very difficult. We completed some drainage, and another contractor has done some other drainage on that site, but it was all finally completed, and a big improvement to the railways as a result.
Have you had many people coming up and paying interest to what parts of the track and what you're doing to the track?
Yeah, particularly residents who live alongside the railways where we've been working. They're asking what we're doing. They've been very supportive generally. We haven't really had any problems in that respect, but explaining what we're doing with the renewal work, which involves a lot of heavy civil engineering work of excavation and bringing stone in and then bringing new track materials in. And sometimes, I'm afraid, this tends to be noisy activity, but the people who've lived alongside the work sites have been very tolerant and helpful in enabling us to get on with doing the renewal work.
Are the Isle of Man railways, are they the same as every other sort of rail tracks around the UK and everything, easy to get bits for?
Not really, no. The railways on the island are almost unique. They're very much as they were when they were built, and the technical parts used in them have changed very little until recently, where new specifications have been improved to make things better. But the bit that the public sees, the trams and the trains, are still very much as they were in the Victorian era, which is of course a big attraction for the island. That when the railways in Britain are used as common carriers and most elements of what they looked like when they were built have disappeared, the railways on the island still look very much like they did when they were built, and that's a big tourist attraction. Yeah,
and there's still a lot of interest in the railways around the Isle of Man, particularly from not just the locals, from people visiting the island, isn't there?
Absolutely, it's one of the big attractions, and the numbers of visitors who come to ride on the railways is increasing, and the number of people who ride on the railways themselves are increasing, and attractions such as the special events which are now held at the Summit Cafe on Snaefell are apparently very well patronised and becoming increasingly popular.
Talking about Snaefell, give us a little insight, because there's not many roads up to the summit. I mean, what did you have to do up there work-wise?
No roads at all, in fact, and no means of vehicular access other than the railway. And the job that we are just about completed was a renewal of all of the track on the summit, the railway track, and the poles that hold up the electrification wires, which is a particularly challenging thing to do when you can't get road vehicles up there to bring materials. In particular, we've excavated and cast new concrete foundations for the poles, which are designed to take both a loading as a result of ice that would stick to the poles in the winter and the highest wind speeds up there. So a piece of modern engineering designed to ensure the poles are stable. And that's involved taking quite a large volume of pre-mixed concrete to the summit and then remixing it and pouring it together with a quality assurance test to make sure that it's actually to the required specification. And that's now all complete and ready for the wires to go back and for services to start soon.
Why did that work have to happen? What was the main reason for that?
Basically, it was all life expired. The track was life expired. The poles were life expired and required reseating and replacing. And the opportunity's been taken to rearrange the layout at the summit in order to increase the capacity for parking trams there, basically to get more people to the summit at one time.
But the vehicle that was used that you mentioned earlier, taking the materials and things to the summit, it's It's a fairly unique one, and it wasn't just that you could buy one of them rare-looking machines off the shelf, Mike.
Indeed, it isn't. We call it the Snaefell Road Rail Machine because it's designed specifically to operate on Snaefell with its unusual 3-foot 6-inch gauge, which there isn't any 3-foot 6-inch gauge anywhere else in the British Isles. And the fell brake arrangement is unique in an operational railway across the world at the moment. And we designed and built this machine specifically to support maintenance activity on the mountain. And it's unusual in that it's powered by a diesel engine. It's basically a conversion of a heavy off-road dumper machine, but it's capable of off-road work and working on the railway in road rail mode. It'll carry 4 tons on its load deck, and it's got a little crane on it. So it's designed specifically for carrying materials and supporting maintenance work on the railway. And we got this vehicle approved to operate on Snaefell, and it's completely unique. It's the only means of taking large loads up the mountain with diesel traction. The railways do maintenance work using a tram, but that requires the overhead on, and our machine will work without the overhead power line, so it's unique.
So all in all, keeping the wheels of certainly the train and tram industry moving on the Isle of Man, but doesn't sound easy.
It doesn't. It's very challenging, but there's been a lot of enjoyable aspects to it, and on the nice days from Snaefell Summit, which there have been a few through the winter, clear winter days, and you can see from the summit right across the Irish Sea to Scotland, England, Ireland and Wales. It's quite an unusual place to be working, and we've achieved something up there that we're very proud of.
Mike Fairbairn there from the Manx Rail Projects. And you a big train goer, Kerry?
I quite enjoy the train. It comes right through the farm, so we quite often hear it tooting along.
Oh, you've not got a station there for you?
No, there used to be a guy on the old gates, but now it's all automated barriers, so we don't see it stop as often anymore. But it's a lovely spectacle through the countryside. Big shiny red thing puffing along.
Yeah, but the thing about it is there's so much variety, isn't it? You've got the steam train and also the electric railway that's heading up to Snaefell, and the one going to Ramsey and everything. The horse trams are all a little bit different, aren't they?
Oh, they are. They're lovely for the island. People love going on the trains, especially with families and days out. You know, it must have been a hard job to keep it up to scratch.
I remember seeing the old steam train when I was a kid, going past Ballacry from Ballaugh into Ramsey. That was a very, very youngster then, so we'll move on. You've been talking to some very highly commended people and animals, haven't you?
Yes, we met the ladies on their return from Crufts. My goodness me, they've done a great job. There was 6 of them in a team of 7 for the Northern Ireland regional competition. That's some achievement. You know, so many from a small island, you know, matching up in that Northern Irish team. It was brilliant. And then, in fact, there was one lady was in the World Cup with her 2 border collies. So I had a chat with Debbie Martin and Anita Quayle on how they got on. So Debbie, here you are back on home ground after a wonderful trip to Crufts this year.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's been a tremendous success for everybody from the Isle of Man that's got as part of the Northern Ireland team. We've had really good successes. We've got Anita, who came second with her crossbreed Odin, and I got a 3rd place with my crossbreed Fred, and the World Cup team that Helen was part of with her collie Indy came 4th.
To even get that far though, Debbie, it takes a lot of work.
There's training pretty much day in, day out, and particularly when you know something as big as Crufts is coming up, you haven't really got time to let anything lie. So you're training, not necessarily all the time, because some of the dogs will take more than others, but you've got the pressure as well of working as part of a team. So it's not just your own achievements, you know that what you do, the team are depending on as well. Because the places that you get accumulate points, and that also helps towards the team's position at the end of the day.
But also you've had to go through a series of basically qualifiers and be chosen to be part of this team of Northern Ireland. You know, it's been a big build-up.
There is. All of your achievements over the year previous are counted. So the team manager, Mike McCartney, comes across from Belfast. So he'll want to know how all the dogs have done at shows through the year, what your achievements are, successes at shows, and he'll want to actually see the dogs in action too.
And here they are today. They're all different breeds. They're not all, as we always expect, to be border collies.
That's right. Well, the interregional competition was actually set up with the purpose of showing that other breeds can do obedience. Obviously, the first breed we always think of with obedience and agility is going to be the Border Collie, which obviously it does excel at those sports, but it's to show that other breeds can do it, and the team is restricted with the number of breeds that you're allowed of any particular type. So there's a maximum of 2 of each. So it has to be quite a good mix, which then throws a little bit more pressure on the team manager to get the selection just right.
And will you ladies have had these since they were little puppies and brought them on yourselves, or have they been bought especially for the obedience?
They were bought first and foremost all as pets. So they start off as pets, but obviously we've all been, with the exception of Anita, the rest of us have been involved in obedience for quite a number of years. So you do then get a puppy with the idea of wanting to go on and do competition. But pets first and foremost.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And any shows coming up in the next few months?
I think for most of us it's probably going to be the June show, which will be the Isle of Man Club. So we've got a little bit of a wait yet. A couple of us also do rally obedience. So we're away to a rally obedience show across. That'll be start of April. And I think that's probably about it till June now.
So Anita, a very proud mum.
Absolutely, definitely, yeah. Over the moon. Can't get over it, to be honest. Absolutely, just chuffed to bits.
And second in his class, that is some going. A beginner at that.
Very much so. As I say, he's only done 3 local shows over here. He was placed every time, but obviously I don't really get across very often. So to be picked for the team was an absolute honour, and he just, above my expectations what he did. He was just brilliant. He handled himself immensely in the ring. He was just fantastic. Yeah.
But there's a little bit of a story behind this boy. Come on.
I actually hand-reared him and his 2 little brothers from 3 days of age. I've got his mum. It wasn't intentional mating, it was accidental, but he's a brilliant accident. And she ended up not producing enough milk, so I had to hand-rear him and his 2 little brothers. And as you can see now, at 2.5 years of age, he's healthy and happy, and yeah.
He's a big boy and he's got so much fur. It must be a nightmare to keep him clean.
He is, just a bit. But he's a dog, and he's allowed to be a dog. And he goes out, gets dirty, gets muddy, and
enjoys life.
He does enjoy life, definitely.
So Laura, back from the world famous dog show Crufts, what a success you've had. 4 dogs and 4 prizes, is correct?
It was, yes. We had Mud, the Pharaoh Hound, Ice, the Iberian Hound, and then we had Rainy, who's also a Pharaoh Hound, and then Albert, the Chinese Crested.
And did you have first prize with Muddy and first prize with Ice? Will you tell me a little bit about those 2?
Muddy's a 3-year-old Pharaoh Hound. He's done a bit of winning. He's had, I think, 3 or 4 best in shows on the island. He's had 3 firsts at Crufts now, and then the Reserve Dog CC at this Crufts. And Ice is 17 months old. He's an Iberian Hound, and he was top Iberian Hound puppy 2015. He's got a 1cc towards his championship status, and he's also won 2 reserve CCs now, and one of them at Crufts.
But this doesn't happen overnight, Laura. A lot of hard work goes into it behind the scenes at home.
Oh yeah, I mean mainly, they are, part of the family to begin with, but they need lots of exercise, lots of training. Sam goes out and does miles and miles and miles running with them, walking them. But yeah, just mainly, part of the family. And if they're happy, then, they'll perform to their best.
But the Pharaoh Hound, originally it was a hunting dog for rabbits. A lot of exercise must go into keeping this dog fit in particular.
Oh yeah, definitely. They were from Malta originally, so they're Maltese rabbit and dog. So they're used to going out chasing, hunting for the farmers. And if they could over here, then they would. So, so plenty of exercise. And, Mud loves going out running. And if anyone sees him, out and about, that's Mud, being pulled along.
But some of these dogs that you're up against, they're coming from all around the world. Some coming from Russia. It's an incredible achievement to be in that bunch of dogs as well.
Oh, totally. I feel proud just to, be involved, and in the ring with some, amazing dogs from, there was some from Sweden, there was Germany, there was Russia, There was one from America. So, it's great even just to be in there, let alone win.
That's absolutely fantastic. But Muddy alone, he's now been asked to come over to America to compete. Is that something you're looking forward to, or a bit dubious?
I want him to stay at home. However nice it is for him, to go over there, I just want him to stay at home as part of the family.
Laura Merriweather, Debbie Martin and Anita Quayle on their return from Crufts.
Wonderful. Like you said at the beginning, Kerry, that's such a prestigious event, isn't it, around the world. And when you see the lengths people are going to get even just some of the minor prizes at Crufts, it's a fantastic lifetime achievement for many, isn't it?
It really is. There's dogs there from all around the world, and there's classes of up to 30 dogs. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And for Laura, and an individual in the show competition there, to even get in the class was amazing, but to win it and then go on into the best of breeds, it's brilliant. She's done really, really well. And great accolade for the Isle of Man.
Yeah, and it makes you realise as well, because all the agility classes in the past have been a lot of collie dogs in it, and listening to that, things are changing because people are realising they can maybe get a little bit more performance out by mingling them around, isn't it?
Well, that's right. A lot of these dogs, some of them are rescue dogs, but they're finding that they are able to do the obedience and the agility as equally as good as the Border Collie. But I think the Border Collie still is coming out a little bit more on top, judging from what the ladies were saying. But yeah, fantastic achievement.
We all know from farming backgrounds how obedient sheepdogs are, though, don't we?
Oh, well.
We'll move on.
Some days.
We'll move on.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Well, the farmers' markets have been growing in popularity over recent years, and one of them is up in the north in Carl's Bistro, and I popped along to speak to some of the people who were in there buying the goods on display, and also to some of the people serving. I first of all spoke to Dot Price.
Oh yes, quite busy every Saturday morning. We're very lucky. We've got a regular build-up of customers who come back every week, which is very good. Although there have been some new faces. Now that Carl has taken over the bistro and serving lunches, we are getting more variety of people, not just our regular customers, which is good.
And what sort of produce have we got here? Your stall's got preservatives, eggs, all sorts. Just give us an idea of what's on it.
Well, we're market gardeners, we market garden just at the door out the road, and we do seasonal local veg. At the minute we're getting to the end of our root vegetables, but luckily we've got a polytunnel, so that supplements it with greens.
Now you go to some of the places and you think, wow, there's about 20 or 30 stalls. There's not that much room in here for them. Does that make it more sort of friendly to the customer, and where what's here is what's in front of them? They're not going to walk around for hours thinking, I can't decide.
Well, this is it. Plus, our motto is at the farmers market, you're buying exactly from the producers. You're cutting out the middleman, so you're talking to the people who actually either grow the stuff, bake the stuff, make the stuff, whatever. And it's very personal. We've got to know our regular customers. We know all about them, where they work, about their children. We actually know their eating habits as well and what they like and don't like. So we try to cater for every whim.
Now, George, you're in control of the Boa goat stand. But the goat's meat itself, it is growing in popularity. Why is that?
I think people recognise the quality of it and the health benefits of it, and can see past the higher price that we put on it, and realise that is a reflection of the quality.
And what sort of cuts do you get off the goat's meat? The same as normal animals?
Yeah, we get the same cuts as you would from a lamb.
Right.
Yeah.
So moving on to another part of the Ramsey Farmers Market, I'm talking to
Lynn.
And what have you got in your stall here, Lynn?
We do bread and pies and pasties, jams, etc.
Yeah. Are these all homemade?
Yeah, they're all homemade. Husband does the bread, and that ranges from focaccia, sourdough, wholemeal, the good stuff.
Yeah, and Dot was saying before, you got your regulars. Have you got your regulars where you know that they're going to come in for a particular loaf or anything?
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, we cater to a lot of for difference. People that don't eat wheat.
Yeah.
So we'll do spelt or rye, and there's a great variety.
And people want that this day and age, don't they?
They
Because
do.
there's so many allergies about.
That's
People are
right.
looking for alternatives.
Yes, that's right, very much so.
And what about the good old pasty? I see a few
The
of them
old
up
pasty,
there.
yeah, the good old pasty, yeah. A lot of people mistake it for Cornish, but of course we can't say it's Cornish because we're not making it in Cornwall, so so it's a Manx pasty.
Manx. Well, Paul Salmon, you're one of the regulars here, I hear.
Yes, I usually come in most Saturday mornings to get some good fresh produce. Because the market's here, it's a good complement of what's in season and everything, so works out very well.
And the preserves and the jams and chutneys and everything, you just can't get the same taste when you buy them from the big manufacturers in the supermarkets, can you?
I know, I always go for stuff that's been home produced or locally produced. We've got such a variety here that there's no reason to do otherwise, really.
Well, Carl Meyer, you seem to have been welcomed by the farmers market crew with open arms.
Well, yes, it's an interesting concept, having the farmers market in a restaurant at the weekend.
They're saying it's been good in a way because you've got some bits and pieces on and the soup made with a lot of the ingredients as well. And the people are stopping, doing a bit of shopping and having something to eat as well, which is nice.
Well, they've been here a lot longer than I have, so when we came in we saw what they were doing and we thought what could go along with it. So yes, we do just a soup and our doorstep, homemade bread and cheese on top, and away you go.
And what about the feedback that you get when people are actually doing a bit of their own shopping with the local produce and then coming to get something off you? Are they talking about it?
Well, yes, it's always good when you start a new restaurant to get customers coming through the door automatically, and they come whether you're there or not. So then they come in, they see what you're doing, and then they come back for a meal at some time. So we benefit from it.
Handy enough for you as well, because you'll be able to, if you've got a leek short or something, you can nip behind the counter.
Well, yes, I think it's all in keeping with local produce and working with the locals, and this is what they do and this is what I do, and so it works well together. There's no conflict of interest there.
There we are, some of the people that were attending and selling ware at the Northern Farmers Market at Carl's Bistro, and really lovely atmosphere in there, Kiri, there was. You know, it's only a small little place, and it just combines well that people are going in there now and get a bit of soup or something and the homemade bread if they want it, and just buying the lemon curds and the homemade breads and the goat's meat, everything that's there. Everyone, they have their regulars that come in. And,
it's fantastic, isn't it? It really is. It's a lovely platform for local producers to start selling, and people love buying local, and they will go out of their way to go and find it, and it's great. Every week there's always a farmer's market, and many people do go.
Yeah, and what's your favourite vegetable?
Oh, I'm not so sure. I do like a sprout.
Do you?
Yeah, I do like sprouts.
It's either a love or hate thing.
Isn't it?
I'm a bit of a carrot man myself.
Oh, goodness.
And courgettes. So I suppose I could be a vegetarian, I think. Although I like meat, I'm quite happy to eat vegetables as well, so it wouldn't really bother me.
Well, that's it. Local grown stuff's got a heck of a taste, hasn't it?
It's different completely, it is, yeah.
It is.
I remember when we were kids, we used to pull the carrot, when we grew carrots out at the farm at Chile, we used to just pull them out of the ground with an old penknife that you wouldn't pass health and safety in this day and age, I tell you, and just give it an all scrape, get the thing off and bite it on the way. Same with spuds and turnips.
Most tastiest though, aren't they?
They are.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Well, not sure if they mix homemade bread, goat's meat, trains and dogs, but that was all in this week's Countryside, and that's the beauty of doing this programme, isn't it?
Oh, you meet up with some great people, and it's very successful people as well.
And such a small island, like particularly in that dog things that we heard, and the Crufts, and to have so many representing that team, 6 out of 7, wasn't it?
A small island that we live on, and they're able to, fit in there just perfectly.
Good. We'll be back next week with more Countryside for you. So for me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kiri Kermode.
We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Don't sit in the slow lane. Join the fast lane right now with Shaw's all-new Superfast Plus broadband. Enjoy more bandwidth, amazing speeds and the best value on the island from just £23.95 per month. So don't be left behind. Get a piece of the high-speed action with Superfast Plus broadband from Shaw. For details, visit our stores in Douglas, Ramsey and Port Erin or click shaw.com. Love being Shaw. Terms and conditions apply.